We're continuing in the Sikha we started yesterday in Parshat Vayishlach. It's in Likutei Sichot Aleph. And we're talking about the connection between this week's Torah portion and the Chassidic holiday of Yutet Kislev. Yutet Kislev is the holiday that the first Rebbe of Chabad, after being accused of his enemies falsely of treason, working against the Russian government, and being imprisoned and sentenced to death, miraculously 53 days later, he was released from the prison and with great honors. It says all of the big ministers over there and everyone, they all realized that he was a holy man and that he had a holy message. Excuse me. So it says, that's what he says, that why he's explaining now how this relates back to what Jacob said to Esav when he met him. He said, you should know that I was just living with Lavan. I'm coming back, I was just living with Lavan. I've been over there working for 20 years by Lavan. In Hebrew, the word for living is garti. It's one of the words. Garti, I've been dwelling by him. The word garti really means like temporary dwelling. So I've been staying by Lavan for the last 20 years, a long time, to be temporarily staying somewhere. And Rashi explains that the word garti has the numerical value, what's called gematria, of teriag. Garti. Which teriag is, in Hebrew, comes out to be 613, which he's trying to tell, Yaakov is trying to tell his evil brother Esav that I've been doing the teriag mitzvahs, the 613 commandments. And also the word garti means a temporary dweller. So he was giving two messages. One message is that this world by me is very important, but it's only temporary. It's not the most important thing. It's a secondary thing. The most important thing to me is the teriag mitzvah shamarti, that I did this commandments of God, and that's what I've been doing all the time. That's what I'm doing now. What was this supposed to do to Esav? Esav was coming, you wanted to kill him. This doesn't seem like much of a scare tactics or flexing your muscles, like they say. Exactly the opposite. Yaakov was saying to Esav, I want you to be the same way as me. I want to give you an alternative to your lifestyle. You don't have to be a murderer and a rapist and a thief and all these things that Esav was really very good at. And have all these power trips all the time and success trips and that you're really very good at. But I just want to tell you, Esav, that there's an alternative, and that's what we were born for, me and you. We were born for this alternative. What's the alternative? Doing what God wants. That's what he said to Esav. But Esav didn't really want any part of it. Nevertheless, he didn't want to, but that's the work of the Jewish people through the generations, is to work on Esav. What's Esav? Esav ends up being all of the nations of all the world and the world itself. That's the work that Chassidut Chabad accepted on itself, took on itself to carry on this work, what Yaakov started, and to fix up the world, Karti, that everyone will realize the really true, amazing, awesome importance and necessity of the 613 mitzvahs, that the Jewish people should do all the commandments, etc. And then the world will help us to do it. And of course, the commandments being the will of God, as it connects God to the world, like a person, they have a person who's, God forbid, paralyzed or something, so they have, what do they call it? In Hebrew, they call it ripui b'isuk. The people who work on him and make him therapy, physical therapy. And by moving your hands and moving your legs, even if they're paralyzed, right, you move them so it could bring life and vitality into the same thing. And the idea is to move all the Jews so that it'll bring vitality into them, and eventually that'll bring vitality into the whole world. And Yaakov was really the one who started working with the world. That's why he said, I own all these shor, v'chamor, v'eved, etc., all these different things. Okay, one of the things that Yaakov said to Esav, to his brother Esav, is that I have an ox, I've got a lot of oxen, and a lot of donkeys. So let's look at Zion. Now we're in Zion. The Fiam Midrash Mitzutat Leil, it said, when Yaakov said, I have donkeys, he says, well, donkeys is referring to Melech HaMashiach. It's referring to the Messiah. Messiah is going to be riding on a donkey. We'll move on. This is not understood. Madua Ramaz Yaakov at the Gula Atida Minyan Shel Chamor Davka. Why did he tell his brother that I have a lot of oxen and a lot of donkeys? The Midrash says that he was referring to the Mashiach, who's going to be riding on a donkey. We'll see in a moment. What in the world has Mashiach got to do with a donkey? And even if it does, why is he telling his brother Esav about this? No, but it says chamor could be singular or plural. In English, they say the same thing. Heads of sheep. They say one sheep is a sheep, and sheep is a lot of sheep. Yeah, it's okay, but in Hebrew, there's more words that are like that. He brings like tarnagol also, rooster. Hakushya mekabelet chizuk yoter laora ne'amar, like it says in the Gemara. It says, va'aru alani shemaya. It says that the Mashiach will come on clouds of heaven, like it says it'll come on the clouds of heaven, or it says v'ani rochav al chamor, and it also says that he will be a poor person riding on a donkey. This comes from Daniel, 7th chapter of Daniel. Mikan, from here, shematzav shel zachu tia geula im anani shemaya. If the Jewish people are meritorious, if they merit, then it'll be lucky. The Mashiach will come on clouds of heaven. The clouds of heaven, what does it mean, clouds of heaven? Everybody in the world is going to be a big, news item. You see all these clouds up in the sky, right? They cite a UFO. If someone cites it, so they figure, that's not true. But if someone really cites it and it stays there, and you can get the news media over there, everybody will see, look at the UFO, right? A big, flying saucer hovering in the sky for hours. Everybody's going to go. The same thing with Mashiach. If Mashiach comes, it says, on clouds of heaven, all of a sudden these clouds come, and say, what is that up there? It comes out, a person steps off, people are snapping, now everybody has a camera right in their hands. Every normal person has a camera. Everybody's snapping pictures, making movie pictures, and of course the news gets there immediately, and they're snapping pictures, and here's the Mashiach came off of this cloud. That's pretty big, that's pretty good. And everyone will accept him and say, this is the man, let's check him to see if it was true, look around for some motors inside or something, strings. No, it's really, he got here by clouds, and he's quoting the Torah and everything, this is it. But if they don't, that's if everybody merits. If everyone merits, then he'll come on the clouds of heaven and everyone will accept him. But if the generation is not meritorious, then it says the Mashiach will come as a poor person riding on a donkey. From here it seems that, why did Yaakov therefore say to his brother, I have oxen and donkeys? You know what donkeys means, don't you, Esav? It means the Mashiach. Why in the world would he hint to Esav Mashiach with a donkey? The donkey is the inferior way of Mashiach coming. He should have said, I have oxes and I have clouds. Right? What's this? There it is. Okay, form yourself into a butterfly. Okay, now make yourself into a mountain. Now into an airplane. Oh, yeah, Esav will say, it's pretty good. This. I know. I realize Mashiach's going to come. What's he's going to riding on a donkey? Esav should have said, okay, he's going to come riding on a donkey. That's the worst way that he's going to come. There'll be a. If so, Yaakov sent a very negative message to his brother. Second class, Mashiach is going to come on economy class, on a donkey. Why did he say that? Yaakov should have said, listen, the Mashiach is going to come, he's going to come first class, going to come the first, he's going to come on clouds, right? And then you're going to really regret it. If you didn't get on the bandwagon, get on the cloud, you're going to get it. What's he driving on a donkey for? What is that supposed to say to Esav? Now we're going to find out. But Pirkei the Rebbe Eliezer, there's a midrash which is called the Pirkei, the chapters of Rebbe Eliezer. It says Ne'amar, it says the Chamor shel Mashiach ani rochav al Chamor hino oto Chamor shel Moshe. It was the same donkey that Moses rode on. Vayarkivem al Chamor. Moses was like 400 years, something like that, after Yaakov, 350 years. 350-year-old donkey, that's pretty, Yaakov said, so Moses had this donkey, Moses has the donkey, and Shehoya la'Avraham Avinu, and Abraham rode the same donkey. So in other words, Moses rode this donkey, and this was a donkey that Abraham put his, it says when he went to sacrifice his son, so he put the fire and the wood and the knife on this donkey. It's the same donkey. So Moses was for sure like 400 years after Abraham. So this is a 400-year-old donkey. It's pretty old. And this is going to be the same donkey that the Mashiach is going to ride on. Well, up to now, the Mashiach is not the final Mashiach. Anyways, there's a lot of people who they say were the Mashiach of their generation. The Or HaChaim HaKodesh said about himself. But Mashiach has not yet, really manifested. So he's going to come now. So now if you make a calculation, how much is now after Moses? It's 3,300 years. So then this is going to be a 4,000-year-old donkey. Who wants a thing like that? It doesn't make any sense anyway. Right? Even a donkey that's like 50 years old, forget it. How long do donkeys live? I don't know. You have to ask a donkey owner, but I would imagine after like 20 years, you can't get very much benefit out of a donkey. For sure, there's no donkey that lives 4,000 years. That's for sure. So what does it mean? The same donkey that Abraham rode on and the same donkey that Moses rode on is going to be the donkey that the Mashiach is going to ride on, and that's the message that he was sending to, that Yaakov was sending to Esav. What's going on? It seems that Avram, Moshe, and the Mashiach, they are all a continuation of the same sort of topic. Avram, he began Shanot Shnei Alfei Torah. It says that Abraham, I don't know if you ever heard this before, but it says in the Gemara in Avodah Zarah that there's 2,000 years of confusion, 2,000 years of Torah, and 2,000 years of Mashiach. 2,000 years of confusion, that was from the creation of the world until Abraham. Abraham came along and started making, Abraham was born about 2,000 years after the creation of the world. A little bit before that. So there was confusion until came Abraham, and he started fixing up what Adam did. Adam brought egotism into the world, and Abraham was the first one to start fixing all this up. Then after that, about 400 years later, comes along Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu, he received the Torah from Sinai, and he gave it to all the Jewish people. He continued this thing of the riding on donkey. What is important about riding on donkey, we'll see. Done Torah. This was talking about right before Moses got the Torah, right? Moses took the donkey, he put his wife and his children on the donkey, he took them down to Egypt, and then after that they said, okay, we're going to leave Egypt, and about a year later or something like that, they left Egypt, and then they got 50 days after they left Egypt, they got the Torah. Hari kashur hu be'inyan yetzias Mitzrayim shahaya hachana l'matan Torah. If so, this donkey is connected to the going out of Egypt, which is connected to the receiving of the Torah. So it says, up to Abraham was 2,000 years of confusion. From Abraham, it says, is 2,000 years of Torah. Like it says, so the ultimate purpose of the Torah is the Melech HaMashiach. Melech HaMashiach. It says after the second temple was destroyed around that time, that was the beginning of the 2,000 years of Mashiach. And it was the beginning. That was the beginning of this new era. Okay, so what do we have up to now? We have Abraham put his knife and whatever on a donkey. The same donkey Moshe put his family on. The same donkey the Mashiach himself is going to ride on. Okay, what's this got to do with anything? However, Chaim have though there's a big difference between how Abraham used this donkey and how Moshe Rabbeinu used the donkey and how the Mashiach used the donkey. What do they do with the donkey? Abraham he used the donkey only for wood and for his knife. Put them on the donkey. He didn't ride on the donkey, didn't put his family on the donkey. Abraham didn't put Yitzchak on the donkey. V'hu atzmo v'na'arav, and he and the boys that were with him. It says Yishmael was with him, and that yes, they walked by foot. Kolomar achamor shimesh rak and yanim hamahavim siur la'adam v'lo et ha'adam atzmo. The donkey, it was used for only only carrying the things that help the people. And I think there's a word in English called the accoutrements. There's a word like that, I think. Anyway, the accessories. Oh,
like a moving truck.
Accessories, yeah. The donkey was only carried the accessories of Abraham, physical things that he needed. Moshe he used the donkey. He put on it his wife and his sons. The wife of a man and his children are close to him. Harbi yoter mi'etzim mi wood and his knife. Some people really like their knife, but not as much as they like their family. Shahari ishto hi ezer konegdo. His wife is what they call a helpmate. Ukaguf, it's like as part of his body. Ubora bra, and a son kara'a davua. And a son is like, it says, like the leg of his father. Ha'chelik mina adam atzmo, he's part of the man himself. Okay, but Moshe, he elevated man. He elevated himself. Ilam Mashiach yishtamesh b'chamor l'arkivtohu, for his own use. Moshe.
But Moshe put his wife and son on himself.
Not Moshe, Mashiach. So Abraham used the donkey for his accessories, and Moshe used it for his family, but Mashiach used it for himself. Hashimush v'rechiva b'chamor is in order. What does a donkey do? What does a donkey do? A donkey is used lahavas adam, to bring a person or some sort of a item. El makom asher ein b'sharotam bilavdei chamor, to bring a person to a place where the donkey, where only a donkey could bring it. Mishum gova'o richuko. Either it's too far away or it's too high. Donkeys have the ability to carry things that may be too heavy. A donkey can bring things to a close. A donkey can bring things where a person alone wouldn't be able to bring it. That's the purpose of a donkey. Why do people have donkeys? Donkeys because they carry, and they're beasts of burden, like they say. Beasts of burden. Hashimush v'rechiva b'chamor hu la'havas adam v'chefetz אלא מקום אשר אין באפשרותו בלעדי החמור להגיע לשם. כן, הדבר, and also the thing of רכיבה, riding, ruchnius, spiritual, of the chamor, the spiritual donkey. What is a spiritual donkey? Well, the word for donkey and the word for physicality, material world, material items, the material physical world has got the same letters. Chomer, Chet, Mem, Resh. These three letters spell donkey, and they also spell physicality. Chamor is also can be, how do you say, synonymous with chomer, physical world. There's a pasuk in the Torah that if you see the donkey of your enemy suffering under its burden, then you have to help him. Even if the person is your enemy, you have to help him. Put it back on. He says, what is the donkey of your enemy? Your enemy, in the spiritual sense, is your own, what's called the Yetzer Hora, your own will to self-destruction. People in the world have a will to self-destruction. What do you mean self-destruction? To do things which they don't care what the outcome is. They have no thought about what the outcome is, what if it's beneficial to man, if it's beneficial to me. Things that feel good, or things from out of frustration, or things like that. That's what's called the Yetzer Hara. It's called the evil or selfish impulse. It's also called the deadly impulse. It's also the angel of death. Is also synonymous with the Yetzer Hara. So it says, what is the chamor of what's the donkey of the Yetzer Hara? What is the donkey? So don't say donkey, but say the physicality. The physicality of your evil impulse is your body. Your body, if it's controlled by the evil impulse, it's what does all the sins. It does this is what makes a person crazy. He wants pleasure, he wants attention, he wants success, he wants power. The body. So it says, if you see the body of your enemy, who's your enemy? Your own evil impulse, your own selfishness, and you see that the body, your body, and the physical world around you is causing you to suffer under your burden. So it says, help it. From this we learn that the donkey is synonymous with your own physical body and the physical world that's around you. And sometimes this can be a terrible burden on a person. It can drive people. We see people go crazy about the world, right? The world makes them angry. The world makes them lustful. The world gets them into addictions and things. Al yedei biru v'zichur hachumros, by means of refining, and by means of what we call it, clarifying and refining the physical world. Clarifying is generally getting rid of the bad, and zichuch is usually stressing more the good of your physicality, the world, and your body. Kayamat afsharut, there is a possible lalot ulagia ladarga. You can, like a donkey, you can use that to reach levels shanashama kishalatzma, that the soul on its own, any yochol lagia lo, you cannot reach. Like it says, Rav Tavuas B'Koach Shor, like it says, there's tremendous benefit in the power of an ox. Right, an ox is a very scary thing. If you've ever seen an ox, I think we talked about this before. An ox, I don't know how much they weigh. It must be 1,000 pounds, an ox. Huh? It's really big. And an ox with one little move, it can knock down, kill people. Who knows what it can do. But if you tame an ox, it's very good. You have an ox pulls your wagon. It's wonderful. Ox is your best friend. This is the same type of a thing as a donkey. A donkey can be very wild, it can be very crazy, but if you refine it, it's very good. The same thing as the human body. Your body can be your biggest enemy, and it can be very dangerous and destructive. But if it's used properly, it can take your soul to a place where being in heaven alone, not coming into the world, could never bring it. But you have to refine your body. You have to refine the world around you. You have to refine, namely by refining your attitude. In the days of Avram Avinu, this idea of refining the world. And Abraham was the first to really begin it. Hatchala Shnei Alfei Torah. This began the 2,000 years of Torah. Lo yadayin b'koach hagashmi v'achumri la'los es ha'adam atzmo l'kedusha. There was not power in the physical world to elevate a person, a human being himself, to be holy. There was no possibility of people being holy, a holy person. Abraham, mishum she'kedusha lo sharta az begashmis. Abraham was a spiritual person. Because he was spiritual, he was able, for the most part, to ignore the world. He wasn't really able to refine the physical world. Mishum shekedusha sharta lo sharta bagashmis, because there was no connection between the spiritual and the physical. That only happened at Mount Sinai. Kfi shemuzbar b'mispar makomos, because it's explained in a lot of places. She'az hayata adayin b'tekufat gezerah shel b'nei Romi lo yardu l'Surya, etc. It says that before the Torah was given, it says the people of Rome means high, did not go down to Syria, didn't come down to the physical world, and the people of Syria did not go up to Rome. In other words, there was a person had to make a decision. Either you're going to be a spiritual person or a physical person. You couldn't be both. Abraham was a little bit the exception, because especially when he circumcised himself. When he circumcised himself, he brought the spiritual into the physical. It actually became physical thing. I think we learned a sikha about that. Avodat birur agashmiut ho'ela efol devorim ha'mesuyamim levad. The refining of the world could be really accomplished, but only certain things. Sheshimshu kasiyur lekadusha ba'otosha. Things that Abraham used for serving God, at the time when he was using them, that elevated that particular item in the world. But it did bring, even if temporarily, it brought godliness into the world. But it was only temporary, and he could not elevate himself. He could only use the world to serve God with. Moshe, in the days of Moshe, if Sharut, it was possible, you could elevate through using the world properly, the Kedusha, Gamet en Yanav, Hanechutim Shaladam. You could even elevate the lower aspects of man himself. Mishum, because She'achar Galus Mitzrayim, Umatan Torah, because after the Jews suffered in Egypt and they went out and they received the Torah, is Hurgash Zichuch Bechum Yisa'ulam. God really appeared on Mount Sinai, physically took the Jews out of Egypt, physical Egypt. The world had already come in contact directly with the Creator, revealed himself in the world. And there was also the thing of doing the commandments. You could do the commandments also, incredible. A regular, normal human being, a Jew, could take a pair of tefillin, a tzitzis, whatever, and he could make himself into a holy temple. Incredible. This is the difference between serving God before the Torah was given and the service of God after the Torah was given. Before the Torah was given, the physical things in the world were not vessels for holiness. Then after the Torah was given, then the physical world did not present such an obstacle for revealing holiness, because it was already broken through. God revealed himself on Mount Sinai. To a certain degree, the physical world even helped man. In other words, in the time of Abraham, the world opposed godliness. But Abraham, the things that he used, he could make them godly. In the time of Moshe, the world didn't oppose godliness anymore. It didn't oppose godliness. But on the other hand, the world could not be made holy. The world could not be made holy. Man himself and the world were like two different things. The world still presented an obstacle to a certain degree to Judaism, to godliness. What in that it didn't participate in godliness. The world was a world. God was God. And if you did Torah and the commandments, then you could reveal God in the world, in the commandments that you did, maybe even more in the ground that you walked on, and etc. But still, man and world were two different things. What is it? The dogma, for instance, Hamaklot v'rahatim shel Yaakov Avinu. Last week we learned about Jacob and the sheep. So the sticks and the water troughs or whatever that Yaakov used, that by means of them there was drawn or ruchni ke b'mitzvahs tefillin shalata. Yaakov used these sticks in order to work on the sheep, so this was something like the tefillin of now. B'kol zot lo nimshach b'hem or b'bechinet klita penimius v'zachtos. The sticks that Yaakov used, that was the same level, so to speak, as tefillin are today, but it didn't remain in those sticks. The sticks did not remain holy, which is not the case of the tefillin we use. They remain holy after you use them. Sorry, but with Yaakov, when he used these sticks and put them in front of the sheep, so it says the work that he did with them, the sticks were not what we call tashmishe kedusha. They did not become holy things, that they remained holy. The sticks, you could throw them away. You could make toothpicks out of it. The sticks had no holiness whatsoever, which is not the case of tefillin. Right? If you want to use tefillin as a doorstop, you're not allowed to. You can't do it. Of a paperweight. You're not supposed to. The tefillin are holy. You're not allowed to do it. But the sticks that Yaakov used, even though at the time he used them were holy, they didn't remain holy. That was before giving of the Torah, Yaakov. But after Matan Torah with Moses, Kishimit Kaimim Mitzvah is when a Jew does a commandment, Be'ez Chafetz Gashmi. If a Jew nowadays he puts on tefillin, he doesn't have to be to the level of Yaakov in order to do it. So, first of all, Yaakov was a very holy person. And when he took these sticks and he put them in front of them, it was like putting on tefillin. So therefore it had an effect. Nowadays, we don't have to be in the level of Yaakov. We'll see in a second.
I'm curious why he chose tefillin and not tzitzis.
Well, why it says no.
Tzitzis, we look at tzitzis and remember the commandments. We want us not to follow up the heart.
What does it say in the Midrash in Kabbalah that the sticks that he had were the same thing as tefillin? Why doesn't it say it was like tzitzis? I think the difference is. Let me see where this is, first of all. It's in the Zohar, it says this. What is the whole thing of tefillin? Tefillin, a big thing of the tefillin are the straps of the tefillin. The straps of the tefillin come down. So this...
In the Shulchan Aruch, though, doesn't it write that the thing with the tefillin is strapping the box on the thing, and the straps is actually not so much, I think.
No, the straps haven't got the same holiness as the bayit itself or the parchments. But the straps, for instance, according to the Torah, the straps have to be black. The house doesn't have to be black. The straps are you can't take the top part of the strap and flip it around and use it on the bottom. Because the higher part of the thread that's closer to the yud, also the head, that's more holy. So the straps are holy. You can't take the straps and when you're finished with them and throw them in the garbage. Tzitzis you can. It says you're not supposed to because it doesn't look nice. It's not nice. It's sort of like making it look cheap. But technically, there's no holiness in the tzitzis. The tzitzis only, it's like throwing away a slaughtering knife or a menorah for Chanukah, or a menorah, the Shabbos candles, the menorah, right? Those things are used for holiness, but they're not holy themselves. They're holy themselves. Tefillin are holy. They're holy in themselves. So what Yaakov did is he brought actual holiness. So it's more similar to the tefillin because he brought actual holiness in the world. And the tzitzis, on the other hand, are more of a sign of something that's going on, that the world is being created from the surrounding aspect of that.
The sticks influenced the goats and the sheep. What they see influenced what they did.
Right.
The tzitzis, you're supposed to look at the tzitzis.
Very good. There's likenesses, 100%. 100%. By the way, there's also a law with tefillin that you're not allowed to say or think or do anything and it's not holy with your tefillin on. That's right. It used to be at one time that people used to wear tefillin all day. But nowadays, because we lose our thought and other things, we don't watch ourselves. Okay. But. But, we're in the second paragraph on 63. But, Shagam Achri Matan Torah, even after Matan Torah, even after the Torah was given. And we have the ability now to make the tefillin and other things we used permanently holy, but all we can make holy is chalkim atfilim shel adam. You can only make things that are secondary to man. In other words, man still remains separate from the world. The world can become holy, but man is not made holy. Man is not elevated. Only the things that are secondary to him, his wife, his children. Ubakochot hagiluim shel haneshama, the revealed powers of the soul, sheyordu lamata v'nitgalu b'guf. Only the external powers, what you use, your hands for this, your brain for understanding. But to a certain degree, the physical world and man remain separate. He can elevate certain things that he uses. He can bring a certain meaning into everything that's around him. But he himself and the world are two things. When the Mashiach comes, Bias Mashiach, Yithaveh inyan nale yoter. There's going to be something which is amazingly high. We talked about this before. Ani v'rucha b'chamor. A poor person that is riding on donkey. In other words, a poor person that is riding on the physical world. Chomer means physical world. Afilu adargos agavos biyoter. Even the highest levels of the soul. Bechinas chaya, the level of yechida. Yit'alu will be elevated by means of the chomer. By means of the physical world will elevate the whole entire man. It won't be separated. The world and man will not be two separate things. Mishum sha'az yitgala yitrono shel haguf al haneshama, because then, in the days of the Mashiach, he'll reveal the superiority and the highness of the body over the soul. The soul can be holy, but the body can be super holy, be godly. The creation of holiness. Eishet chayal ateret ba'ala. Then it says, like the woman of valor will be the crown of her husband. The woman of valor is the body, and that becomes the crown of the husband, which is the soul. But be it Mashiach, and the Bias Mashiach, Yitgaleh will be revealed, Shorsho Emiti, the true essential source of Ish Hanivra, of Yesh Hanivra, of the physical creation. Shua Yesh Emiti, that the physical creation, this world is not just a mirage or a testing ground or some sort of a maze that you go through, that you have to ignore it in order to get up to the heavenly worlds. Like all of the religions in the world preach. That's what religion is about. Judaism says a totally different thing. Judaism says, of course, the heavens are much higher than even the other religions can imagine. There's no doubt. But the main thing is this world. This world is not high and it's not low. It's the essence of God is here. Al yadei birur hachomer, by means of refining the physical world, birur hayesh nivra, refining and purifying the physical world, and using everything in the physical world only for positive purposes. The world should not get us down at all. We should get the world up. Hit'aveh, hit'alut, there is an elevation of the essence of the soul. In other words, the man and the donkey will not be two things. The physical world will elevate the entirety of man. Won't be two separate things. And what's the point? The point is God put us into this world for a holy purpose. And if we do the purpose, then we're connected to the essence of God. And that you can't get by being in heaven. And that's going to be revealed. That's the idea of the Mashiach. He himself, in other words, man himself, will ride on the donkey, the physical world, the donkey, the physical world, the Chomer world will elevate man. More according to what we said, now we can understand what it means, what the rabbis say, that if the generation is meritorious, then the Mashiach will come on the clouds of heaven. Lo zachu, if the generation is not meritorious, ani rochav al chamor, then it'll be a poor person riding on a donkey. Now it takes on a totally different meaning. It means like this: zachu, avoda b'inyanim zakin. If a person only occupies himself in pure things, ruchnim bilavad, only Jewish things, only holy things, then mevil l'darga she'em anani shemaya, then the Mashiach will come on the heavens. What does it mean, heavens? There will be revelation of what's called an Or Yashar, a straight light, something like what it was in the time when the Torah was given, from above to below, b'hadraga. It'll come down into this physical world, but it'll be a straight light, a light that comes down from God, because everybody was doing good and only occupying themselves in good, holy things. Everyone locked themselves in the place of learning, and they learned, and everything was fine. We didn't come in contact with anything bad. But if we have lo zachu, if a person serves God with things that are not purified, b'inyanim gashim, we're not talking about forbidden things, physical things, v'chumin l'zachacham u'lebaram, to purify them and to elevate them and purify them and refine them according to how it says in the Torah. Of course, we can't make up our own laws. But if a person works with the physical world in the way that Hashem wants, then this maybe Gilui Nalet brings such a tremendously high revelation of Ani V'rochav al Chamor, a poor person riding on the donkey. Gilui Or Chosa, then there's a revelation of what's called returning light from below to above. Hanoten Efsharut Ayidei Bir Chomer, which makes it possible by means of refining this physical world to go against nature, to transform nature, that's what God wants us to do. That enables us l'hagia to reach l'darga sha'neshama l'shekes atzmo, a levels to which the soul on its own cannot possibly reach. Okay, what are we saying over here? We're saying the world, as terrible as the world is, and as disappointing as the world is, as deceiving as the world is, that's what I want, the word I wanted in the morning. Deceiving as the world is. And the world makes all these terrible promises, and it's totally, unfaithful to you. The world will let you down in a second. The world promises you, take this like Alice in Wonderland, eat me, take me, drink me, this and this. And the world just drags people, millions, billions of people, drags them into self-destruction. The world is a terrible place. So why did God create it? Doesn't look like God is so nice. The answer is, says the Rebbe, no. God creates the world every moment, together with all of its difficulties, so that we should refine it. Something like digging for diamonds, right? If diamonds were laying on the street, so they wouldn't be worth anything, because people have to dig for them deep, so therefore diamonds are a very precious commodity. Right? If it was something that was available everywhere, it wouldn't be precious. The same thing is good, serving the creator of the universe, truth. These things have to be achieved by a lot of hard work. It's not easy. If there was no hard work, we'd be losing out. Therefore, God created the world, and through the world, we can actually become real human beings. If not, we're like animals. There's places, where they have chickens that grow eggs. The chickens just for eggs. They sit in the nest all day. They don't walk around. Sometimes they even have them like in a cage. They can't move around. And they feed them. They get tremendously fat. And they just sit there and they get, maybe it's the ideal life. They have no problems. They don't have to go around pecking all the time, right? They're pecking. And they lay eggs. They have eggs they produce for people. Become tremendously fat. They have a lot of fat and a lot of this. So maybe that's the best life. Says that's the worst life. Maybe for a chicken it's good. Maybe for an animal, but for a human being it's the worst. It's the worst there could possibly be. To do nothing, to have no obligations, it's like being a worm. Right? You get all your food is for free, you just go through the dirt, you eat dirt, you're happy. Right? You're happy all the time. That's called happiness. That's called happiness, maybe, but there's no challenges. You're not a human being. You're a chicken, you're a worm, you're a this, whatever. Says the Rebbe, God made the world, the physical world, so man can actually be man. By standing up in the challenges, you become who you really are, you can be. That's what it means. Harizeh mashmud devorah shel Yaakov when he said Yeshur v'chamor. Did I skip a page or no? Yeah, no. Okay. That's what it means. What Yaakov said to Esav: I have donkeys, I have oxes and donkeys. Avodatim, love and my service that I did with love and birur, devorim agashmim and chumrim. This brought me to the nechonot lagilui. Hanale bioter shall ani v'rocha v'chamor. I have reached this tremendously high level of a poor person riding on the donkey. In other words, I am giving God pleasure by working in this physical world. I've worked with impure things, ani, lo zachu, and riding on the donkey. Huh? If you want, I know. Yeah, sure. You have to go.